informasi kaya labi shikisa babi lobi ya kasina.
All right then, so I guess we're doing this curtain. Is it a curtain chat or is it a wall chat? Is this a brick wall chat?
It's a digital brick wall chat.
We're gonna do the Joyce Theater brick digital wall chat. We're very fortunate to have with us here today both the beginning, the middle, and the end, the legacy of what it is to be Garth Fagan and Garth Fagan Dance, which I would say is Garth's breath. I think that Garth Fagan Dance is his breath, and I think what makes it really cool for myself to be here in this capacity is that as a person who has been identified as perhaps a choreographer of note, and to be a black person, a black man, if you will, I don't exist without him. The way that he laid the groundwork, and there were folks that preceded him, but he was able to say that it was okay to have an authentic voice, not just being really superior or very incredible in voices that have already been spoken or have already been whispered. So, to my right is Garth Fagan. I know you're clapping. And to his right is William J. Ferguson II. I know you're clapping. William is the executive director of Garth Fagan Dance. And Garth Fagan is the breath that makes all things Garth Fagan really worth paying attention to. So let's ask the foundation. Garth, it's really funny. There was a preface that I ended up actually writing for press about your concert, right? About the company, after the pandemic and after George Floyd. And you've done more works of statement, more works of controversy, or more works talking about controversy and finding a universal tongue in that. Tell me what it meant for you to see your company on stage again at the Joyce after literally kind of having to be put away for safety while we were trying to get through COVID.
It meant everything. The Joyce audiences have loved us from the get-go, from the first time we performed here. And old faces that I recognized and hugged. And they loved my new piece, my COVID piece, but we'll talk about that later. And the old dancers like Steve Humphrey, who is now 70 and has washboard abs. Oh, I'm so angry with him and happy for how wonderful he looks and dances. Wait till you see solo tonight. And anyway. And the new dancers, lots of newbies, but beautiful, beautiful dancers. So they just got exhausted much earlier than my generation or any generation. We would work until we got it right. No, they're easily exhausted.
Bill, in that vein, in the incredible feature film Prelude, The Legacy of Garth Fagan Dance, which one day we have to have a talk just about how we came up with that name, right? Because the perfectness of what that title of that film says is amazing. But there's a beautiful clip in it where you and Natalie and PJ are sitting around the table somewhere. And
At PJ's house.
At PJ's house, apparently, right? And and I think Natalie says, it was either you or Natalie, but says, COVID, and she went to she went to finish, and PJ finished and said, she said, COVID, he said, took the company. Right.
We lost everybody.
And so what was it like to experience that? And how did you, find the vision, the wherewithal, to help that it could be back here, as an executive director, because you came into the role in this time?
I became executive director 5 days before the first shutdown of COVID.
And we promise you it wasn't planned.
And he had been dancing how many years before that?
Oh, I started dancing in 1989 and I quit. I left the dance floor in 2008.
See, and I think that's part of the story that sometimes is lost. That actually you are a glorified dancer as well. Who brings that insight into your role. But
I'm married to one of my brilliant lead dancers, Nikki DePass, who has 2 boys for him.
Well, apparently you did not pass on Nikki.
No, I did not. That's another story.
So tell us how were you able to help the company navigate out of this stranglehold that the world was in?
Perseverance, discipline is freedom. It's a mantra that I learned here at Garth Fagan Dance about how to, when things get hard, you just bear down and you keep moving forward. You immerse yourself in the process of whatever it is that you're doing, and you work the process. I knew that there would be an end to this. It's what we were going to do. The steps towards the end were completely unknown to me. There was no map. There was no book that said how to manage a dance company during a worldwide pandemic. And like PJ said in the prelude, The Legacy of Garth Fagan Dance, we lost the whole company. June 30th, 2020, we had a little bit of PPP money left. We had enough PPP money to keep a certain number of the organization, keep the organization running with a certain number of people. But we had to let all the artists go.
See, that is insightful. Scary, the feeling of unfairness comes to mind. In the sense that the one thing that the world has gotten from Garth Fagan, I would imagine, is a legacy that was big enough to fill the footprint of the Lion King.
Oh, yes.
And to show the world how to move as a single unit, to sway in time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And somehow, whether it was the Lion King or whatever, had not figured out how to make certain that there was a reciprocity, of continuation, free of fear or worry.
That's true. We were in a place where we weren't sure of what was going to be, what the next day was. We weren't sure of how we were going to afford the next day. The thing that we had going for us is that we were Garth Fagan Dance. We were the company that when Disney was looking for a choreographer for The Lion King, they came and saw Garth's company. They came and saw Garth Fagan Dance at Long Beach Community College. I remember that. I was performing. We did From Before then. And I'm sure that was one of the influences when they saw what Garth has done, how he's distilled African movement and elevated it and brought it to a place where a level of sophistication. And Garth came and said, there were people from Disney coming to the show. And Garth thought just, because we were in California, that people from Disney were coming to the show to see the show. Little did we know that they were coming to the show to audition Garth's movement, Garth's and Fagan technique as the foundation that has moved 100 million people globally to understand and push the Lion King to the heights that it is now.
Well, Garth, what's really, I think that, you've done a litany of work that has challenged the status, right, of how society was looking at itself at different decades, right? Whether it was interracial, whether it was genderish, you've always been able to somehow have a teaching curve of about a good 25 years ahead of where everybody else was. And I wonder, what were you thinking when you decided to create your last piece? Like, what made you say, you know what, I have something else to say, and here it is?
Well, three of my dancers lost parents and close relatives and what have you to COVID. And two more had to leave the company to go home to New Orleans to take care of their relatives, you know. And then long-term friends of mine passed away. So it was pow, 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 you know. And I said, well, let me do this piece, and I don't want to do a full company piece, because I had a processional with everybody with carrying the coffin and whatever.
Right.
And I said, Keisha is who could do this dance and carry the coffin and do extension and pirouettes and everything, and know where she's placing the coffin as she goes. So, and a strong woman, I'm tired of the come here bitch dances that everybody keeps doing. It's so old school and wrong.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So I know Keisha could do it, and she danced beautifully. You heard the audiences going bananas, and then John is 6'6" and all arms and legs. So I thought he'd be a good guy to come into the picture, because Keisha, as you know, is tall and slender. So anyway, I turned the curve into a love story, and but not old school love story either.
Right, yes.
You know, the cheeks and foreheads and what have you, you know, and the extensions were still blossoming. And I'm very proud of the audience response. I need to read what the critics said, but such is life.
Bill, you know, I think that, you know, being here at the Joyce, what did it feel like when you made the turn, right? Because you either came down the street, you got out the black car, or you came across the street and saw Garth Fagan dance on the marquee. What was that feeling like after having survived COVID in every way as Garth Fagan dance, right? You guys ended up having, you know, the prepping tour that was going to bring us to the Joyce. You know, we had the premiere, right? The initial premiere of Prelude, you know, in the confines of home before the national distribution. And so here you are. What was that feeling like?
It was at once exhilarating and rooted. I mean, I felt lifted, and I felt very, very, my feet were on the ground, because this is home for me. You know, this place is really home for me. My first performance here was in 1989. The company's been performing here since 1984. Steve won one of the first Bessies here, performing Owaka Trail. You know, so it was very comforting to be walking across the street and see our window cards up there, and see that New York City is our home. New York City is our home. I mean, we travel all over the world, and when people say, where are you from? we could say, when we say New York, they're thinking here. They're thinking right here is where we're from. And it felt like home. It felt like home. I walked into the theater. I went and sat in the seats that we usually sit in when we're watching the show. And it was a relief, actually. It was a relief because we're here on our birthday.
Right.
We opened on November 15th, which is the company's 52nd birthday. And we've been, for years, working hard with the Joyce to get our birthday, to be performing on our birthday. And we finally got it.
Well, you figured out the equation. Just a pandemic.
Just a pandemic.
That's all.
A little
That's all you
pandemic
need.
gotta happen.
So, this is really a loaded question, but I would be remiss not to ask it. Garth, what is it do you believe that the world doesn't know yet that you still have left to say?
Oops. Another dance and another dance and another dance, but always doing fresh, new moves, rhythms, ballon, floor work. I mean, literally rolling on the floor. So there is a freshness about the work that when they see Prelude in the beginning, they know the steps and they enjoy that and they
Yes.
go crazy. And that's to show the dancer, the value of the dancer to choreographers. Because without the dancers, it stays up here or it stays down here. And the dancers have to put it into their bodies and hold releve forever. and all the stuff that my dancers do. And I'm very, very proud of my female dancers because I let them know they weren't going to be sitting around waiting for princes. If they wanted a prince, they were going to get him and bring his, self and stuff. So my dancers, my female dancers, are very strong and very self-assured. And there'll be more of that. There'll be more of that. And I lost an infant dancer in a car crash, which was amazing. Because she was 3 years old, and I haven't forgotten it. The pain still numbs me. And I think my affinity for my female dancers comes a lot from that. I know the first women's dance I did in Lion King was for her, because it's a female lionesses, and I'm a dog person. She loved her kitty cat, and I never was a cat person. And those women come out there and bring the house down with beautiful leaps and shapes and spins and what have you, So you can use pain and sorrow to nourish you, but good times can also nourish you. Happy, wonderful times on the beaches of Jamaica, are the best beaches in the world.
Invitation accepted.
Yes. That can do it. And Bill will tell you when we go to Jamaica, we go up to my ancestral home in Cherry Gardens, and we got a front porch twice the size of this room, and you can see the town, and whatever. And she's now deceased. My childhood maid has been working with us for years, and we put her daughter through college. That's the Jamaican spirit, And
So it's that kind of giving that has been the basis of what the kind of work that you do.
Yes, yes. And the kind of life that I've experienced.
And the kind of life that you've allowed us to experience. So Bill,
Yes.
as we leap into this next phase, and as we actually wrap up this brick talk, that's what we're gonna call it, the brick talk, here at the Joyce. And I want everybody to know that Garth Fagan Dance is at the Joyce all the way until Sunday. So get your tickets. If you haven't gotten your tickets, let me think. You are square. So let's not be square. Come on, be hip. Too hip to be square. Whole different song. Here we go. Bill, what you got? What do you want us to know as we start to take this leap into what is next for Garth Fagan Dance?
I want everybody to know that where Garth Fagan Dance is going to a place where one of the things Garth always talks about is the partnerships and the collaborations he's had, and how those partnerships and collaborations have helped him grow and helped Garth Fagan Dance grow. Collaborations like collaboration with Wynton Marsalis and Martin Puryear for the Opus dance that Garth did in 1991 called Griot, New York, and the many other collaborations he's done.
Alvin Ailey.
Alvin Ailey, Don Poulin. I mean, we could just keep going on those names.
Wyclef was just talking
Wyclef
about.
Gordon.
He was just talking about that last night. He
Mhm.
told me to tell you. Talk
Well,
about it. So you did. Look at that.
Yeah,
I didn't even have to
well,
tell you yet.
we did a tour.
You see, Cole? Okay.
We did a tour. We were in a tour of California with Wyclef Gordon leading a septet of musicians, and we did a tour of California with Wyclef, and we did Griot, New York. But in the spirit of collaboration, Garth Fagan Dance is going to take that spirit and apply it to the whole organization. So with that spirit of collaboration, we're going to be doing other things, looking at other people to walk with us as we walk forward in the future.
If I haven't heard a beautiful conclusion as what these two fine gentlemen has laid upon the floor. So like a good salutation, I say to you all, thank you for coming and spending some time with us, and to all, a good night.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.